Okay, today we're going to do section 2.6, solving equations with multiplication and division. So last section we did addition and subtraction. So today we're going to, just do the opposite. If it's a multiplication problem, you divide. If it's a division problem, you multiply. Okay, so number one, 2x equals 270. Now you can plug in numbers here to figure out 2 times what equals 270. But today we're going to do the equation. We're going to solve it because eventually we're going to have numbers that are decimals or fractions. You can't do it in your head. So just do it my way for today. So, or for a while. So if we have 2x equals 270, this is multiplied together, so we do the opposite. Just like yesterday when it was an addition, we would subtract. So we divide by 2. Divide by 2. Remember, fractions are just division problems. What you do to one side, you do to the other. It doesn't change the value. So 2, those cancel because you want that x. Remember, you want to isolate that variable all by itself. Okay, so this is x or 1x if you want to think about it that way. 270 divided by 2. If you can't do that in your head, that's okay. Just come over here and do some division. 270 divided by 2 goes into it once. Do you guys remember this, I hope? Subtract. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So your answer is 135. There, you're done with that problem. Okay, going over to number 2. 4 times x equals 84. It's a multiplication. We do the opposite, divide by 4. Because we want that x all by itself. So we want it just to have a 1 in front of it. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. So x equals, and then you divide. 84 divided by 4, because this is just a fraction. Again, it's just a division problem. 4 goes into 8 twice. 21. Going over here to number 3, it's okay that it's written this way. Don't let that stress you out. You can rewrite it if you so desire. I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. Remember, you're always moving away from your variable because we want to isolate that variable. So we divide by 7. Divide by 7, those cancel, you're left with y or 1y, however you want to think about it. What is this? 13, 7 goes into 9 once, with 2 left over, so 13. Over here, if we have 5r equals negative 20, it's the same thing. It's multiplied here. You have to look, how's my variable and the number I want to move, how are they attached? Well, they're multiplied, so we divide. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So r equals, this just becomes r. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. Negative 20 divided by 5, so it's going to be 4. Now I'm going to add 1 over here. If this was a negative 5r equals negative 20, do not get confused with this negative. This does not mean you're subtracting over here. You're still multiplying. You have to say, how are my 5 and my r attached? They're multiplied, even though it's a negative, negative 5r. So you would divide by negative 5. Don't add that negative 5, or don't add 5. So negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1, and then you'd get positive 20, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay. Next one, I couldn't get my program to write a fraction, so I'm going to have to work on that. So I just wrote them out. Okay, so here is x divided by 20. Okay, we will eventually get to where there's a number up here with the x. We'll kind of deal with that when we get to it. But x divided by 20, or you could even think of it as being 120 times x equals 30. And then you would divide by 1 over 20. Remember, when you divide a fraction, you're really multiplying by the reciprocal. Remember, you flip that second number. So we're just going to do that from the beginning. X divided by 20, the opposite of that is to multiply by 20, or to multiply by 20 over 1, if you want to think of this as 1 over 20. However you want to do that. Hey, those are going to cancel, or if you want to multiply that out, you're going to end up with 20x over 20. Which is just x. But what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So this side, I wrote too close. 30 times 20, okay, which is going to give you 600. Remember, what you do to one side, you have to do the other. I multiply by 20 over here, I have to multiply by 20 over here. Same over here with number 6, r divided by -5, so we're going to multiply by -5. You can put it in parentheses if you want. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Please put it in parentheses so you know it's not 10 minus 5. These are going to reduce, r equals -50. Over here, it's still the same. On number 7, it's just that it's on the other side. You're still isolating this variable right here. Don't get away from that. You always want to move numbers away from the variable. So it's still divided by 4, so we're going to multiply by 4, or 4 over 1, whatever makes sense to you. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other, so multiply by 4. I threw these parentheses in here so you wouldn't think it was 4 minus 30. Remember, you're multiplying. You really got to think about that. So r equals -120. Negative times a positive is a negative. Okay. Moving on to number 8. X divided by -3. So we multiply by -3. Again, I'm throwing it in parentheses. This is -3 over 1. Those will cancel because a -3 over a -3 is just 1. So you don't have to write it. You can if you want. So negative times a negative is a positive, so we're going to get positive 12. Last problem. It's a word problem. Raul is saving $15 per month. At this rate, how many months will it take him to save $135? So first we have to write an equation. Most of you can probably just figure this out quickly. Okay, if you do, think, how did I do it? Did I multiply or divide? Well, to solve it, you divided. So the equation is going to be multiply. So if I have $15 per month, this per is multiplication. Month is going to be our variable. It can be whatever you want. We'll just make an M for month. At this rate, how many months will it take to save? So we want this to equal $135. If it's $15 every month, it's $15 the first month, 15 times $2 the second month, 15 times 3 the third month. Okay, so we have to figure it out. You can plug numbers in if you wish, or we could just solve it. So 15m equals 135. Since it's a multiplication problem, we're going to divide. So m equals, I believe it's 9. 9 and 5, yep. And it's 9 what?